on 60 Minutes. A heartbreaking tragedy. But out of the wreckage, one man's remarkable survival.
It is painful, mentally, physically.
What is it that the world needs to know?
I need help.
That's next on 60 Minutes.
When Air India Flight 171 fell from the sky and blew up in a catastrophic fireball 5 months ago, 242 people were on board. Tragically, all of them died, except one. Unbelievably, 39-year-old Viswashkumar Ramesh escaped the burning wreckage. As you'll see, he has an incredible survival story. But far from celebrating it, he remains grief-stricken and guilt-ridden. Why was he so lucky when so many others, including his own brother AJ, weren't? Viswashkumar is also increasingly angry. He feels deserted by Air India. It's clear he needs help and deserves proper answers about why the plane crashed. The crash site of Air India Flight 171 is still a place of sadness and charred ruins, even 5 months on from one of the darkest days in aviation history. It's hard to believe anyone could have survived the blast that destroyed this neighbourhood in the western Indian city of Ahmedabad. But incredibly, one man did. Viswashkumar Ramesh. He was in seat 11A when the passenger jet came crashing down shortly after takeoff on the 12th of June. To have walked away from the burning wreckage is nothing short of a miracle. Everyone thinks Viswashkumar is the luckiest man in the world, except him. The 39-year-old is crippled by survivor's guilt, knowing 19 people on the ground and the other 241 people on board, including his little brother AJ, died. It's not lost on us how hard this is for you. I think the most important question is how are you doing?
Not good. It is painful. I'm finding myself very difficult, like mentally, physically, and also my family suffering mentally.
Everyone thinks it's so incredible that you survived the crash. Is that how you feel?
Sound good, but same time I lost my brother, younger brother in the same flight. For me is very.
As life goes on here in Ahmedabad, behind that white sheet, there's an eerie stillness over the crash site. 2 great mysteries remain. First, why did the plane come crashing down? And second, how did one man and one man alone manage to survive? What do you feel in your heart right now?
Completely broke down.
Viswashkumar struggles to find the words to describe the unbearable situation he's in. But he's doing his best with the support of community leader Sanjeev Patel and family-appointed spokesman Rad Sagar, because he needs help and feels abandoned by Air India. Like all the families affected by this disaster, they have no answers about what went wrong on the doomed Dreamliner. And by now, they say they should.
You know, the senior executives of Air India made a public announcement right at the beginning. We will look after those families who are victims. But in practice, the machinery has been unknown faces, emails, papers being put in front of people to sign. No understanding of what that means.
Because I need help. Come forward and meet to Air India and listen to my problem.
On the day of the crash, Satinder Singh was in the right place at the right time to do what he's trained to do, help people.
What did it sound like?
Sound like bomb blast.
The ambulance supervisor was having lunch with his team just after 1:30 p.m. A few hundred metres away, Air India Flight 171 was taking off from Ahmedabad bound for London. But just 32 seconds after takeoff, the Boeing 787 hit the ground and exploded in a massive fireball. Satinder heard the almighty blast and instinctively ran straight towards it.
The wing had dropped on the road and the tail was stuck on the building. By then we could gauge that it is a big passenger plane.
What did it smell like and what did you hear?
The smell of burning flesh was very traumatic for all of us. For a very long time, neither me nor my team could eat or drink. There were a lot of injuries, but what affected me the most was rescuing little kids. Because their lives hadn't even started by then. When I had a few kids in my arms, it felt like it could be my own kid.
Given the mass destruction, the rescuers assumed nobody on board could have survived. Then, this man, in a white t-shirt, emerged from the inferno. It was Viswashkumar Ramesh.
It is painful. But it is painful to speak about that.
How did you get out of the wreckage?
I don't know. I tried to come out from there, but the flashback has come to my face, front of my eye, and
When does that happen?
That's any time, no, it's not. I'm not sleep properly in night time. It's
okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
I spent difficult time in my life. I never think before I facing I face time like this.
It's not even something the family could talk about with him, with each other even. So it's just pushed to the back of their minds because it's too painful at the moment to even think about.
Somehow, Viswashkumar managed to kick open the emergency exit, miraculously walk free from the wreckage and find Satinder.
His face was burned, his hands were burned. He was saying that I need to save my family, I want to save my family. He was very confused and he was scared.
Injured and distressed, Viswashkumar was taken to hospital in one of Satinder's ambulances. At first, he looked like he was recovering well. Months on, though, it's obvious he's not. How are you suffering physically?
Physically, still in pain in my body, like knee, back, shoulder, and left hand side is burning in my hand.
You still feel that now?
Yes. Still paining every day.
Before the crash, Viswashkumar had been helping in his family's fishing business here in the small town of Diu on India's west coast. He was on his way home to Leicester in England, where he's lived for many years, when disaster struck. After the crash, he remained in India until September, when he finally made the brave journey back to Leicester to be with his wife and young son. How did you find the courage to catch that plane?
Very difficult to explain.
What do your days look like now?
I'm staying alone in my room. I'm not talking properly with my son. I'm not spending time with my family, like my wife and son. As living alone in my room. It's too hard for me.
It's too difficult.
Yes.
What is it that you want from Air India?
These are beautiful, peace-loving people. They don't want a war with Air India. They just want help. In this case, there's an immediate, urgent need for intensive psychiatric treatment, as you can probably tell. They need to arrange that, and they need to pay for that. And it hasn't happened in any meaningful way.
Viswashkumar and his family don't just need help. They're also desperate to know why the plane crashed. And so are hundreds of other grieving families. After the break, what went wrong on board the fatal flight?
There's no way that something like this just took off from Ahmedabad and went down.
You don't have to walk far in the coastal town of Diu on India's west coast to find someone affected by the country's biggest aviation disaster.
That I couldn't believe that was my brother in that flight.
Vishvesh Buba's brother, Manish, was killed when Air India Flight 171 crashed in the nearby city of Ahmedabad on the 12th of June.
When my brother was with me, that time I thinking, I got two hands. But my brother lost. Then I think I got only one hand.
How your life can change in an instant.
So much.
Manish was one of 242 people on board the fatal flight. All of them perished except this man, Viswashkumar Ramesh, also from the same village in Diu. He was sitting near the emergency exit and unbelievably kicked his way out of the wreckage.
When you found out that one person had survived, did you have a hope that maybe your brother did?
Of course. Why is not my brother survive? But we cannot do anything. We just only pray for God, for who is one survive.
While the world now knows Diu for an incredible story of survival, alongside the miracle, there is enormous grief here. More than a dozen families who live in this village also lost loved ones on Air India Flight 171. And that even includes the sole survivor, Viswashkumar Ramesh. Like Vishvesh, he also lost a brother in the disaster. What do you miss about your brother, AJ?
I miss everything. He's my younger brother. I spend time much with him.
I went to your village and I saw the pain in their eyes and how this is affecting your family.
My whole family is broke down.
We are one same family members. One village, one town.
What's the hardest part to accept about what's happened?
We need to know why is this is the happen. Why is the plane crash?
It's a question that should have been answered already, nearly 5 months on from the crash. But infuriatingly, it hasn't. And that's as unacceptable to aviation experts as it is to grieving families.
There's no way that something like this just took off from Ahmedabad and went down.
Captain Sam Thomas has been flying Boeing planes for more than 25 years and now runs the Airline Pilots Association in India. He hoped there might have been an explanation of what went wrong in a preliminary report released by India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, 1 month after the crash. But according to Sam, there wasn't. He fears the lack of information might be an effort to pin the disaster on the pilots, when there could be so much more to it.
I can't fathom at this moment that one of the pilots did it, but I'd be very disappointed if it comes out that the pilot did it. They better substantiate that with proper proof.
But so far, they haven't. The most intriguing part of the report is about the switches that control the flow of fuel to the plane's engines. Just after takeoff, the switches were moved from the run position to the cut-off position. Both engines shut down and the plane started losing altitude.
The fuel control switches transition from run to cut-off. Now, this is a deliberate act. It does not go down on its own.
The report also revealed in the cockpit voice recording, one of the pilots is heard asking the other, why did he cut off? The other pilot responded that he did not do so. But Captain Thomas is wary of reading too much into such a small snippet of conversation. Why would somebody ask, why did you do that?
I don't know because that's why we need the entire conversation. I need the conversation from the time they pushed back that airplane. That will set a tone as to what was going on.
The fuel control switches were turned back on within seconds, and one of the engines partially restarted. Security footage also shows the Ram air turbine activated shortly after takeoff, suggesting something terrible had happened. It's a backup system that deploys automatically to provide emergency power. But seconds later, the captain called Mayday. Frustratingly, there's simply not enough information in this report to know why the fuel supply was cut off. Could there have been a rare technical malfunction that prompted the pilots to flick the switches off and on in a bid to restart the engines and save the aircraft? Or, more ominously, did one of them cut off the fuel supply to deliberately bring down the plane and commit mass murder? The pilots were First Officer Clive Kunda and Captain Sumit Sabharwal, who Sam Thomas knew well. How much experience did he have?
25 years at least. He had 15,000 hours and 8,000 of which was on the 787. That's a hell of a lot of hours to be on one particular airplane.
Did you ever doubt his flying ability?
Never.
Whatever happened, hundreds of families who lost loved ones on board the Boeing 787 just want the truth to come out and believe almost 5 months on, it should have. Over in London, Miten Patel will forever cherish this ring as a memory of his parents, Ashok and Shabana, who died in the crash.
They were sitting in the middle of the plane and Dad would have been on the left-hand side and Mum would have been on this side. And the first thing my dad would have done would have just grabbed my mum's hand. So they would have both been touching this and those last moments. And I just, feel like a piece of them is still with me.
It's incredible that you got that back, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought I'd lost that forever.
Like Vishvesh and Viswashkumar, Miten feels deserted by Air India and hugely let down by the preliminary report.
It opened up too many questions than actually gave us any answers. There's all these sorts of theories that are going out there. And for every single family member, when you find out a new theory, it brings that in more pain, right? Because they're just theories.
It's not just the subpar investigation that's added to the anguish of families like the Patels. Coming up, the body bungle you won't believe.
I was just confused, heartbroken, like how can this happen?
All over the world, from the United Kingdom to India, hundreds of families have been heartbroken by the catastrophic crash of Air India Flight 171. Almost 5 months later, no one knows how or why the passenger plane plummeted into a busy neighbourhood, just 32 seconds after taking off. And on top of a lack of information from the airline, there's been an alarming lack of transparency and compassion.
My question to Air India is, where is the humanity?
Rad Sagar and Sanjeev Patel are close supporters of the sole survivor of the crash, Viswashkumar Ramesh. They are speaking publicly by his side because they feel it's the only way to compel Air India to help his family. The 39-year-old is grateful to be alive, but deeply traumatised by the disaster, which killed his little brother AJ.
Before is very happy life, like family. After that tragedy, my mother always sitting in front of my brother picture. He's just crying and thinking about my brother.
AJ ran the family's fishing business in India, and without him, there's no money coming in. Viswashkumar is unable to work and in desperate need of physical and mental health care. Air India has given him an interim payment of £21,500, just over 43,000 Australian dollars. The same handout offered to every family who lost a loved one on Flight 171. But for this family, and many others, it's nowhere near enough.
It just needs that desire from the top to make things happen in a personal way, not a bureaucratic way. Do an outreach to all of these families and literally give them some support.
Some compassion.
Compassion.
This isn't going to happen or via email or via lawyers. The chief executive has to come and meet with us so that he can help us help him.
Given you're only getting crickets, do you worry that the truth will be buried and may never come out on this?
Sanjeev and I have done our best to try and resolve this privately without having to ask for your help. And I think we've now issued 3 private invitations through our lawyers to meet with him. And each one of those has fallen on deaf ears, crickets, as you say. And that's worrying and disappointing.
No one from Air India wanted to speak with us either. But in a statement, the airline said, "We are deeply conscious of our responsibility to provide Mr. Ramesh with support." The CEO, Campbell Wilson, has not accepted Viswashkumar's request for a meeting. Instead, the massive corporation which owns Air India, the Tata Group, has offered to send other representatives to see him. We will continue to reach out, and we very much hope to receive a positive response.
They're trying to deal with it as if, as I say, he's a number on a spreadsheet. Air India, please come and see us.
Miten Patel also expected more from Air India. His parents, Ashok and Shabana, had been on a pilgrimage in India and were on their way home to England when the plane went down. He flew to Ahmedabad the next day to collect their bodies and take them back to London. But Mitten's anguish soon turned to horror when a British coroner, tasked with confirming his mum and dad's identities, made a ghastly discovery.
They have identified that there's further remains within mum's casket. So with mum, in addition to mum, they've received something else or someone else.
What do you think in that moment?
I was just confused, heartbroken, like, how can this happen? I understand that there was a lot of tiredness with the workers that were there and they were probably under a lot of pressure, but it's still not really an excuse to mislabel or mishap to happen. You know, this is an extra level of grief that we have to go through.
Sadly, it's no surprise to Captain Sam Thomas, who runs India's Pilots Union. When a disaster like this happens, it must have a big impact on you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
He says in India, investigations like this often fall short of what the world expects.
I hate to say this, but we are such a populous country that sometimes the value of life is not as high as what it is in other developed countries. So
That's terrible.
it is. But then it is improving for sure, but not to the levels that the other countries have.
I have heard it alleged that if Americans had been on this flight, there might be a different level of scrutiny and urgency to the investigation. I can't dispute that.
And that's what drives lawyer Michael Andrews, who's taken up the fight for the families of more than 110 victims. He says the US is the best place to launch a case against a corporate giant like Air India or Boeing.
We have a level playing field in the United States where a single individual can hope to hold a multinational corporation responsible for wrongful conduct. And we know that that's not the case in other parts of the world.
I know you can't put a price on their loss, but what do these families deserve?
Transparency. That is not something that can be purchased. You are hoping to prevent this from ever occurring to another family again, anywhere. That's the goal.
Michael recently travelled to India and saw the crash site for himself. He believes the country's aviation investigators know much more about what went wrong on Flight 171 than they're letting on publicly. The flight data recorder was recovered from the wreckage and should be able to give a detailed history of the aircraft's performance. But it's being kept secret.
By releasing that information, the families can know fairly quickly what happened here, how it happened, and why.
So is it a case that they're not releasing that information yet until they do further due diligence, or is it you think they're deliberately holding that information back because it's problematic?
That's the big question, isn't it? We don't know how problematic it may be and for whom. We don't know if there are maintenance issues that Air India may be protecting at this point. We don't know if there are issues with Boeing that they are still trying to flesh out and determine how deep they may go.
Over in the UK, Miten Patel is taking legal action as well.
And I don't think I have asked anything more from God because He gave me a son like Miten.
He'll do whatever it takes to find out why his precious parents died and hold whoever is responsible to account.
If I don't, I feel like I've kind of let go of mum and dad in a strange way, which I don't want to do. I mean, they're nowhere near here, but they need to know the answers as well as we do as to why this happened, because they were nowhere ready to go.
Their answers, the sole survivor of the tragedy, Viswashkumar Ramesh, deserves too. What do Air India need to do for you and your family?
Just come and sit together and that's it. Come and meet.
On this week's 60 Minutes podcast, Extra Minutes, the ongoing despair of those impacted by the Air India disaster.
The grief and the pain I could just see in their eyes. And I guess when everyone knocks on the door and it's media after media, it all comes back up again for them.
That's Extra Minutes, available now on the 60 Minutes Australia YouTube channel.